future judges. Today we are going to see 10 important sections of Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. These sections are important not only from the point of view of prelims but also from the point of view of main examinations. Some of these sections have been added through latest amendments in the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. So we must remember these sections. Let's start with our very first section. The first section is section 7, Arbitration Agreement. Section 7 not only defines what an arbitration agreement is, it also states that arbitration agreement is something that is a written agreement. So it has to be in the written form, and in addition to that, section 7 also explains that what are the conditions under which an agreement may be said to be a written agreement. So to understand what an arbitration agreement is, section 7 is very important. Now let us move on to the second section on our list. Interim measures etc. by court, section 9. Section 9 tells us that the court which has referred the parties for arbitration, it has the power to issue certain interim measures. These interim measures may be given while the party is during the arbitration proceedings, during the proceedings, and also before the arbitration has started, but this should be done before the enforcement of the arbitral award. Even if an arbitral award has been passed, then also the court may issue an interim measure here. The interim measures are the measures which are looking to protect the rights of the parties in an arbitral proceedings. Let's say preservation of certain goods which are the subject matter of the arbitration agreement, or preservation of a particular right of any party. So these interim measures are issued by the court under section 9. The important thing here is that these measures are given by the court under section 9, but the arbitral tribunal also has the power to give these measures. So whenever the arbitral tribunal has the same power under section 17, then the court shall not give these interim measures under section 9. Yes, the court will refuse to give these measures if it believes that the arbitral tribunal is competent to give these measures. Next is section 11, appointment of arbitrators. Section 11 tells us that there is no particular nationality required for the arbitrators unless if parties agree, then they can choose that the arbitrator shall be of a particular nationality. Then it tells us that the parties should agree on a procedure for appointment of arbitrators. So the parties have to agree on a procedure as to how the arbitrator will be appointed. लेकिन अगर parties fail कर रही हैं इस procedure को decide करने में कि arbitrator कैसे appoint होगा, तो उस condition में in a case of 3 arbitrators, each of the party will choose 1 arbitrator each, and ये जो 2 arbitrators हैं ये मिल करके एक 3rd arbitrator जो है उसे appoint करेंगे. So many other things are dealt with in section 11 regarding the appointment of arbitrators. Now let us move on to another important section on our list जिसके बारे में हमने अभी डिस्कस किया है, section 17. तो जब बात की जाती है आर्बिट्रल ट्राइब्यूनल की, तो आर्बिट्रल ट्राइब्यूनल के पास में भी कुछ पावर्स हैं इंटरिम मेजर्स इशू करने की, जैसे कि इंजंक्शंस जो कि आर्बिट्रल ट्राइब्यूनल इशू कर सकता है. तो जब एक आर्बिट्रल ट्राइब्यूनल कोई इंजंक्शन दे देता है तो वो जो पार्टीज हैं वहाँ उनके राइट्स प्रिजर्व हो जाते हैं, भले चाहे आर्बिट्रल प्रोसीडिंग चलती रहेगी, बट जो पार्टीज हैं अब उनमें से कोई भी किसी के भी अगेंस्ट कोई गलत फ़ायदा नहीं उठा सकता, अनजस्ट एनरिचमेंट नहीं कर सकता. तो इस नज़रिए से इंटरिम मेजर्स आर अवॉर्डेड बाय आर्बिट्रल ट्राइब्यूनल्स एज वेल अंडर सेक्शन 17. ये क्वेश्चन अक्सर पूछा जाता है प्रीलिम्स में, जिसमें सेक्शन 9 और सेक्शन 17 में बच्चे कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं और गलती से 9 की जगह 17 और 17 की जगह 9 को मार्क कर देते हैं. बट यू मस्ट रिमेंबर दैट 17 डील्स विद द पावर ऑफ आर्बिट्रल ट्राइब्यूनल टू गिव इंटरिम मेजर्स. Next section, it's section 29B, which talks about fast track procedure. So section 29B was added by the 2016 amendment of the Arbitration Act. So 2016 amendment states that the parties who want to have a fast resolution of their arbitral dispute, what they can do is they can give it in writing that they want a fast track proceeding, and on the basis of this application for fast track proceeding, the arbitral tribunal will try to complete the proceedings within 6 months instead of the usual time periods given under the act. The tribunal will try to finish it as early as possible, and the procedures relating to appearances, hearings, the procedures related to pleadings and various statements to be submitted by the parties, all of these things are done either quickly or in a very limited manner. So this is a new provision. In that context, you must know about section 29B, fast track procedure. Okay, let us move on to another important section. 34, application for setting aside arbitral awards. Yes, this is a very important and interesting section. In this section, we are also going to deal with a lot of cases in our next video. Many landmark cases have been decided by the Supreme Court on this particular section. Whenever a party is not satisfied with the arbitral award, what can they do? There are no provisions as to appeal of certain arbitral awards. Only certain orders relating to arbitral awards can be appealed under Arbitration and Conciliation Act. So when there is no provision of appeal, what an aggrieved party is going to do? An aggrieved party can go under section 34 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act for getting their award set aside. Yes, so the setting aside will be based on many considerations. Let's say, for instance, if the parties were involved in the procedure of appointment of arbitrators, if the parties were aware that the proceedings are being held, basically mostly the principles of natural justice have been followed in the arbitral proceedings, right? And the parties, the court may also see, the arbitral tribunal may also see that whether this particular arbitral agreement is in line with the law applicable in India, whether it is violative of any laws in India, and the court could also see here in this particular case that whether the arbitral award violates the public policy of India. If it is violating a public policy of India, then again this can be set aside. So in this section, the court sets aside the arbitral award that has been passed by the arbitral tribunal. And many landmark cases have discussed this, the situations where this award can be set aside, where it cannot be set aside. So we will be discussing all of that in our next video. Let's move on to the next important section. Section 36 enforcement. Section 36 talks about how, when an arbitral award has been made by the tribunal, how this award is going to be enforced. When we talk about enforcement, we are talking about execution. Just like there is execution under Order 21, execution of decrees, similarly here we are talking about enforcement of arbitral awards. So when we talk about enforcement of these awards are enforced in line with the procedure that has been told under CPC 1908. So arbitral awards will be treated as a decree. The same respect that is given to a decree of a civil court will be given to an arbitral award, and it will be enforced in such manner as has been provided under CPC 1908. Right? So this is again another important section. Why? Because most people don't know what happens after an arbitral award has been given. So in that context, you must know the whole procedure. After an award is given, how the award is going to be enforced is also an important structure. It is going to complete your answer in mains. Section 64, appointment of conciliators. Now, Many people think that Arbitration and Conciliation Act is it's not a very huge act, but they tend to concentrate only on the provisions of arbitration, and they tend to forget that conciliation is also a very important portion, and sometimes short answer type questions are made from the conciliation part. Sometimes the difference between arbitration and conciliation is also asked. So if you are not able to concentrate on the sections of conciliation, then you might lose some of your marks on those questions. So, section 64 talks about appointment of conciliators. How conciliators may be appointed in conciliation proceedings, that if there is a sole conciliator, then it will be appointed by both the parties. If there are two conciliators, then one party will appoint each conciliator, and if there are three conciliators, then again similar to arbitration, one party will appoint each conciliator, and these two conciliators will then appoint a third conciliator. Alright, so these things have been discussed under the section 64 of the Act. Now let us move on to the next important section, section 67, role of conciliator. So the role of conciliator is very important. When we come to section 67 of the Act, we will get to know what actually the conciliator does. So when we compare the arbitral proceedings and the role of the arbitral tribunal, or if there is a sole arbitrator, then the role of that arbitrator, as opposed to the role of conciliators, we will see the differences among the two provisions. So in order to differentiate between arbitration and conciliation, it is important that you look at section 67. Then only you will be able to point out the differences between the role of an arbitrator in an arbitral proceeding, and you will also get to know some things about the nature of conciliation proceedings. So this is why section 67 again is a very important section. So this is the end of our video. These are the 10 most important sections of, we have one more. Section 73, settlement agreement. Settlement agreement talks about when the conciliation proceedings completely come to an end. When a conciliation proceeding ends, what is done? The parties are made to sign an agreement. This agreement is signed by the parties to show that whatever has been done in the conciliation proceedings, whatever has been discussed among them, that is now applicable as an agreement between both the parties. So basically they are doing a mutual agreement to say that they will be bound by that agreement, whatever they have written in that agreement. That will conclude your conciliation proceedings. So this again is the part where we can think of it as enforcement of a conciliation proceeding. Now I think we have come to the end of our video, the most important 10 sections. Yes, thank you for watching the 10 most important sections of Arbitration and Conciliation Act.